All right, welcome back to Impact Wrestling 2022, booked in TEW. This is Ryan coming back. If you haven't already, go back and watch Sacrifice because, of course, this is the show afterwards. So we have quite a bit of fallout from that show, but we also had a big news day and a big news only episode after Sacrifice um that you should go back and watch because it is important. We had the big news that Scott Demore is booking NXT, even though technically he's still employed with us as well. So see, you probably have some fallout of that. We also have Ty Valkyrie's impending retirement in a few months. So yeah, that'll probably shape what we see in the coming months. As far as shows, I have what is the next one? Rebellion. Yeah, Rebellion. I have that about like 90% booked. I just don't have just not 100% sure how to get there, but I have a lot of the matches laid out. Um, but yeah, let's go into before the impact. I apologize. I was going to going to start maybe recapping that in a bit more detail, but I failed to get a screen grab. I'll have one up for the video, but kind of doing this off of memory. I know we had Rok-C defeating Brandi Lauren. Yeah, I think due to botched interference from Madison Rain, and then Rachel Ellering comes out for the save for Rok-C. Sam Beal defeating Diener. Diener probably on a downward trend after the dismantling of Violence by Design. At least his exit from the group. We had a Jake something promo putting over the match he had uh at Sacrifice with W. Morrissey that ended in a double countout. And also, we had, I think it got like a super low rating, but we did do an announcement for Scott Demore that Scott Demore has left his position as basically the main authority figure, decision maker, etc. of Impact Wrestling. His last decision was firing Moose at the end of the pay per view, where he lost his job and the Impact title to Josh Alexander. Like I said, the stipulation loser must leave Impact, and Moose was fired by Scott Demore, but we are playing that Scott Demore has basically left his duties, and that was his final one. So that will go into Impact, and we will start there. All right, to start off the show, we got uh the DK group that has was forced to disband. Explodes. Um, Black Taurus basically squashes Crazy Steve. Um, this is after the pay per view where Black Taurus had basically turned on Rosemary and allowed Deonna Prazzo to retain the Knockouts title. Um, Black Taurus comes out with Deonna Prazzo and Matthew Waywalt at ringside, and they basically command him to squash Crazy Steve. Steve tries to talk some sense into Taurus, but it does not work. And Taurus is basically all too happy to squash someone. Unfortunately, did not get that great of a rating. I wonder because they had decent uh performances. I guess basically it got a hit because it was a squash, so I don't know. Um, so yeah, after that match, we get a promo from Deanna Prato, and who is joined in the ring by Matthew Waywell and Black Taurus, and basically Deanna explains to the crowd why Black Taurus had turned on former stablemate and friend Rosemary. That if that basically she believes that Rosemary and Decay by association looked at Taurus as a monster and not a man. But Black Taurus is a man, and not only a man, but accomplished athlete and accomplished lucha star. And when she saw that DK had disbanded and Black Taurus had basically been left abandoned, she convinced him to use that rage, take it out on Rosemary for, the year or so of mistreatment or whatever that she claims. But also if she could uh stick it to Rosemary, retain her title, but also prepare for Taya Valkyrie, who seems to be coming for her titles next. Um, and get a lucha perspective and an inside track on how to defeat her. That's basically two birds with one stone. So that was basically the explanation for Black Taurus to join up with a crew such as Diana and Matthew Ray. Well, basically, Diana Prato establishes this as a stable Prato and Associates, kind of putting over the fact that she has multiple insurance policies now to make sure that she remains a triple champion for a long time, which got a segment rating of 34. We get a pre taped promo from the Good Brothers, the Impact World Tag Team Champions. They put over the fact that they just had a defense at the pay per view against Rich Swann and Willie Mack, a successful one. And they're basically at home partying, drinking. And they got the news that Scott Demore would, has basically left his duties, left his position. So they feel that they do not need to show up for a title defense anytime soon. So what they are doing is they are going to institute a single elimination open invitation tournament, tag tournament for someone to get the next shot at the Good Brothers and the titles. So, um each week there will be a tag team match. Basically, if they want any tag team wants in this tournament, they have to contact them and they will place them wherever they see fit. Um, a week there will be a match a week, and basically how it lays out that the finals will take place at Rebellion, and then whoever wins the finals at Rebellion will take on the Good Brothers at Under Siege for the tag team titles. So that got a 43. I did book this as scriptless, and unfortunately, Carl Anderson did not do well without a script. So I basically had them go off the cuff, say whatever they wanted, and I guess Doc is the only one good at that. So I'll try to keep that in mind. But yeah, tag team tournament taking place over the course of the next month or so for a shot at the tag team titles. Meanwhile, we get another segment where we go back to Swingers Palace. Basically, they are in the process of building it up still. They have yet to open. They're making it look good and getting everything ready. When suddenly Ace Austin comes through the door. and he looks to be alone. He's like, right away, Swinger and the rest of his crew kind of post up and get in Austin's face, and Austin's like, "Hey, I'm just here to gamble. I want to kind of bury the hatchet. I want to, for my involvement." And as you can see, Madman Fulton's not here. He's at home. He's injured, and I just want to let loose some steam. I just want to gamble, and I just want to, play some cards, whatever. And I just want to bury the hatchet and make sure everything's cool. And Swinger is just like, no, you can't. I don't care. Basically, not offering the olive branch of forgiveness that Austin is extending, but basically they don't want him here. They don't want, they saw him and Fulton as a possible threat of not getting the casino open, and basically it ends with Swinger commanding Hernandez to carry and throw Austin out, and basically Austin's just screaming like, "This isn't over. This isn't over. I'll, you'll regret not, you'll regret this. I'm the one that is trying to forgive and forget, and just ran on his way out, and Hernandez throws him out, and that gets a segment rating of 22. That kind of sets up a new storyline between, or at least for, Swinger and Swinger's Palace. And then we get an interview with Quinn McKay, with Chris Bay. Quinn McKay kind of puts over the fact that at Sacrifice that he tried to buddy up with the Good Brothers after and help them win or help them retain their titles. But they kind of used them and dumped them, and Bay's just like, I I guess that's the message that they're gonna send to me. I guess if Bullet Club doesn't want me around, then I don't want to be a part of Bullet Club anymore. So basically, this is Chris Bay's way of saying that he is striking back out on his own again. No more Bullet Club, and he basically admits that Bullet Club was a weight dragging him down instead of the next step of his career. So he's going to toss that weight away and go to new heights. So that gets a segment rating of 22. And then we go to Mike Bailey versus Chris Bay, where Bailey defeats Chris Bay. Um, so the casting off of Bullet Club may not have helped him as much as he probably would have liked. But maybe this is a new start for the Ultimate Finesser, but at least not right now. Speedball Mike Bailey, kind of taken a back seat a little bit since he lost to Josh Alexander a few months ago, but um or at least last month or whatever, whenever that pay-per-view match was. But yeah, Mike Bailey getting back into the swing of things, unfortunately, at the expense of Chris Bay, who is not. Segment rating 41, so that's a pretty decent match that, I'm glad is being represented in these stats, because these stats kind of tend to trend low, and I know a match between these two would do well in real life. So, yeah. All right, we got a segment of Brian Myers and his learning tree. He approaches them all and says that he just got off the phone with the Good Brothers and said that they have at least one spot in the tag title tournament starting tonight. And it'll be a rematch of Sacrifice where Brian Myers and Avery Good take on Heath and Rhino. And he comes to the group and he said the Good Brothers were willing to get VSK and CPA a spot in the tournament as well, but Myers and Good have to beat Heath and Rhino tonight for them to get that spot. So Myers comes to VSK and CPA and goes, "You guys, we can't have a repeat of you know, the pay-per-view. We gotta win, and if we win, you guys get a spot. So I'm begging you guys, do not come out and interfere in tonight's match." And VSK and CP are kind of like looking at each other, and they kind of wink at each other, and they're like, "Okay, okay, boss." And Brian Myers is like, "No, no, what is this? What is this winking stuff? What is this? Like, I mean it. If you guys come out and try to interfere, we'll just have a repeat of last time, and we'll lose, and we'll all be out of this tournament. So I need you guys to stay back here." And they're still like winking. They're like, "All right, I get it, boss. This is a test." He's like, "No, there's no test. Just stay back here. Listen to your teacher for once." And they're still not getting it. And then Myers is just kind of like putting his head in his hands, like, "You know what, guys? Follow me." And they go to a uh separate room. Myers leads them into another room where he shuts them in and locks them in, basically ensuring that VSK and CPA do not interfere in tonight's match and potentially bungle things up for everyone. So, um, and then Myers and Good walk off, getting to get ready for their impending match. So, segment rating 26. Brian Myers is getting better at his gimmick. All right, and then we have a hoss battle of sorts. We got Joe Doring versus Jake Something. Joe Doring still representing Violent by Design, but coming out by himself as Eric Young is still injured, and Diener was kicked out of the group on the pre-show, and then Jake Something failing to put away W Morrissey in a match. The match went to a double disqualification or double count out, basically. Um, So both kind of had something to prove. I guess more so Jake Something than Joe Doring. But Doring gets the win. I don't know why it doesn't say it, but we have W Morrissey interfering. It was a tainted finish, but I think I should have said it as a cheap finish. Um, yeah, I think I screwed that up. But I thought I had W Morrissey coming out as a distraction for Jake Something to uh you know, distract him and get Joe Doring to get the win, and kind of showing Jake Something's relative inexperience, I guess, to Joe and Morrissey, I guess, but I must have forgot to put that. I don't know why, but still got segment rate of 37. That's still pretty decent. Something's actually has a better ring performance than Doring, so but yeah, didn't really advance the feud like I hoped it would. Um, Later on, we get a promo from the Gospel of Violence. Basically, put over. They kind of have a creepy dimmed lighting and creepy organ music, but basically they said they dispatched of the false believers of violence known as Violence by Design, and kind of says, "Look at them, they're now, I wouldn't say they've broken up, I guess, but yeah, basically they're proclaiming themselves as the truest purveyors of violence, and any non-believers will be shunned." But their promo gets interrupted by the returning wolves. The wolf, as we may have remembered a couple weeks ago, the Gospel of Violence debuted at the expense of the wolves, and basically um beat them up and I guess put them on the shelf, to or at least in retreat mode for a few weeks, but they are back. The Wolves come out, engage in a big brawl with the Gospel of Violence that has to be pulled apart. Segment rating of 39, and Bateman's getting better at his gimmick. And then in the tag team tournament match, we get Brian Myers and Avery Good defeating Slater and Rhino. So Brian Myers and they basically have the opposite result of the pay-per-view, where CPA and VSK kind of served as a distraction, and Avery could aid a pin from Rhino, but since there's no VSK or CPA, Brian Myers was able to cheat his way to a win by pinning Slater with a handful of tights. So Brian Myers and Avery Good advance. VSK and CPA do get a spot later on in the tournament. We I I have brackets set up, but we're not showing those yet. Until we start. Basically, the format of the tournament, it's 8 men, single elimination, but basically each match is going to be revealed the week of. So, at least the first round matches. So then we'll have, as more of those appear, then the brackets will fill themselves out and you'll see like the actual brackets. But till then, the first Brian Myers and Avery Good cement their spot. Uh they get into the second round. VSK and CPA are a part of it, but again, we don't know who their opponents will be yet. So, segment 37, this basically kind of seems to be an average. Everyone's kind of the same level of performance. Um, and then we get. I want to play this out. Trey Miguel comes out with a microphone. And he's like, I know you guys saw what happened at Sacrifice, and I know there's a whole bunch of shenanigans, and I know, you know, Shark Boy. I don't know what's going on with this X Division title. People are saying Shark Boy won, but I can tell you, everyone can tell you, he can tell you even that wasn't Shark Boy that ran out with the X Division title. And I hear all the murmurings, I hear all the talk around here, and everyone's kind of feeling bad for Shark Boy. Um, not having his winning but not winning the X Division title. But I want to remind all of you that Shark Boy wasn't the only one that got screwed at Sacrifice. So, but before he can get any further, Homicide and eventually Shark Boy come out, and they kind of are uh, all arguing amongst themselves. Are obviously Shark Boy does not have the X Division title that he has supposedly won. Um, they're all kind of arguing themselves into the ring. Segment rating of 31, which goes into a scene shows up on the big screen, and it's a basically the ocean. Someone's on a beach, and you hear the Jaws theme. Someone mockingly singing the Jaws theme, going dun 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 and lifting their head up into view, and it's the Shark Boy mask. And the fin pops up first, and you see it, and then the Shark Boy mask comes up, and of course Shark Boy is in the ring, kind of livid, and everyone's just kind of wondering what's going on. And the person on the screen in the Shark Boy mask takes off their mask, and it's Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin reveals himself to be the fake Shark Boy. He takes off the mask. He has the X Division title on his shoulder, and he's like, "Okay, I got it. It's me. It was me. I dressed up as Shark Boy. I got a, but like I got the costume. I got the mask made, and I used Shark Boy to win the title. But you know, I had to do it. There was no way from, I had to. I had there's the conspiracy against me from becoming X Division champion. I had to do something, and now I have the X Division title. And when he says that, Homicide takes the mic, Trey's mic, and he's like, as far as I'm concerned, Shark Boy is the champion. Shark Boy got the pin, not Steve Macklin. Shark Boy is the X Division champion, and you know you have to relinquish that belt. That's not your belt. That's Shark Boy's belt. And that kind of like Steve sets off Trey Miguel. He's like, well, Shark Boy didn't pin me. He pinned me, and blah blah blah. And Macklin's like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm here and you're there. If you want to make me relinquish this belt, you're gonna have to come find me. And finally, Shark Boy takes the mic and he goes back into his stone cold voice. He's like, if you guys want to see Shark Boy bite a or open a can of clam juice on this jabroni's ass, give me a shell, yeah. And that gets a crowd. And Macklin's like, "Oh, we're okay. We're doing this now. We're doing this gimmick. Oh, all right. We're doing the Stone Cold thing. All right." And he looks over the ocean. He looks at the title belt, and he's like, "Shark Boy, if you want the X Division title belt, you're gonna have to go swimming. I know you love swimming. You're gonna have to go get it yourself." And he throws the X Division title belt into the ocean. So, uh, that's how the segment ends. Steve Macklin reveals himself to be the fake Shark Boy. Um, Even though Shark Boy has been declared the X Division champion, he is without a belt, and that belt is not floating in the ocean. So, strange things happening. Segment rating of 20. Um, the storyline has advanced with both of those segments, but I don't know if it's ever going to become a hot storyline. So we might have to wrap this up fairly soon. Um, but we shall see. Later on, we get an angle with we get Maria Kanellis coming out with Chelsea Green, and they're kind of laughing at everyone. Maria cuts a promo, and she says the plan worked out perfectly. She sees Chelsea Green as the next step in or the she sees Chelsea Green taking her next step of success in Impact, and she's going to help her all the way. And last or as sacrifice was step one, she uh made sure that Maria got the pin over Jordan Grace in their mixed tag team match. And as far as Maria is concerned, she's the number one contender for the digital media champion just by proxy of pinning the champion. But since she doesn't see herself as a wrestler anymore, she is a mother, she is a businesswoman. Um, she decides to bequeath that title shot to Chelsea Green, and Chelsea is just like acting like, "Oh, thank you, blah blah blah," and they kind of crown Chelsea Green as the number one contender to the digital media championship. But Gail Kim comes out with a microphone of her own. She's like, I don't think so. This isn't the. I know Scott Demore isn't here, but we can't just go around calling, you know, just giving ourselves title shots. So, Chelsea, if you want to face Jordan Grace for the digital media championship, that's fine, but you're going to have to earn it. So, I'm putting you in a match with a mystery opponent next week. And if you can do that, then you can have your title shot. So, and Maria and Chelsea are just kind of, not selling it. They're just kind of like, whatever, you can do whatever you want, but we'll get our way soon enough. So, uh, segment rating of 33 for that. And then we go backstage. This is a very angle heavy show. We go backstage to Rosemary. It's just kind of brooding in a dark place backstage. very disappointed that she lost her chance at becoming Knockouts champion, but also the fact that her friendship with the Black Taurus had been betrayed by Deanna Prazzo. But speaking of friendship, her friend Taya Valkyrie uh, comes into view, and she puts over the fact that she won the battle royal to crown a new number one contender. And Rosemary and Taya's like, Rosemary, I know you have your, your sense of, destiny or your view of the future, but I have a destiny of my own, and that destiny is becoming champion once again. And trust me, if there was anything I could do for you to get a title shot of your own, I would, but I also had, like I said, I have to get mine too, basically. Um, Gail Kim, who is just walking back from kind of her decree for Maria and Jordan Grace, uh, kind of stumbles into this conversation, and she's like, you know, I couldn't help but overhear that, and I know I just got out of a similar situation. Um, Someone granting themselves their own title matches. We're not going to do that. But, Taya, you earned your title shot. But if you're willing to have Rosemary be a part of it, there's something I can uh, work out. So, she kind of directs them to go to her, follow them, directs them to follow her to her office and says that, um, we're going to do this the right way. Um, and make sure some contracts get sorted out. But I have an idea, and you're both going. If you both want to cooperate with that, basically setting up something for later. Segment rating of 36. And we will see. Hopefully, what the results of that will be someday. And then in our main event, we have Shane Strickland defeating Chris Sabin. I really kind of wanted this to be. They do go 15 minutes. I think I set this to like a big high spots match. I kind of wanted this to be like a pay per view quality match that got left off the pay per view, but you're getting it for free on live TV. But also, we have Chris Sabin wanting to prove himself again with this new crop, this new um generation of X Division wrestlers, and Shane Strickland being the new big name. Kind of took exception with him and wanted to put him to the test, but in the end, it was Shane Strickland getting the win. Uh, Segment rating of 37. Chris Sabin's kind of been on the downward slope a little bit, but that's kind of by design. As you'll see in the last segment or the segment afterwards, um, Shane Strickland extends his hand to Chris Sabin. Sabin kind of hesitates. He's really, disappointed in himself lately, and he's had losses to Strickland, uh, Macklin. I believe he's lost to Miguel. I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, he's despondent, and he kind of walks away a little bit, but then he comes back. He shakes his hand, raises Shane Strickland's hand as a form of respect, and kind of, I wouldn't say a full passing of the torch, but just kind of an acceptance that this new generation of X Division athletes are here to stay, and he kind of puts a seal of approval. So basically, shakes his hand, raises his hand, and lets Strickland celebrate his win, and walks off. So segment rating of 30 for that. And then for our final segment, we get Josh Alexander's Impact Championship title celebration. We basically, Alexander comes out, cuts this big speech, thanks his wife, thanks the coach, Scott Demore, puts over that, no matter where he goes, if he decides to leave or stay or whatever, that he's always going to be his coach. But um, he wanted to show, basically, the gist of his speech was that, you know, when Josh Alexander won the Impact title the first time and he only got to hold it for, a few minutes till Moose rudely interrupted his reign. But when he held it for the first time, he had a plan. He had a plan to carry the world title on his shoulder. Not only that, but to lift Impact as a whole and put it on his back and be the representative that Impact deserves. Um, he wants to prove that he is not only being worthy of being a world champion, but he wants to show the world that Impact is the place for real wrestling. He wants to prove that he's the best, he's the world champion, and Impact is where you can come to find the best wrestling, the best wrestlers in the world. And as he's saying this, the Ring of Honor world champion Jonathan Gresham walks up. And Gresham has the belt of his own. And basically, Alexander and Gresham go toe to toe. Gresham takes the mic and he's like, I agree with every word you're saying. Impact, Impact should be the place where everyone can find the best wrestling. There have been other places, and I've been there, and I've been at the top of them, but they're gone now. So you're here, I'm here, we're here in Impact to prove that Impact has the best wrestlers. As far as I'm concerned, there can only be one best. And if you're laying down a challenge for anyone to take you on, you know, that's me. I'm the best. I'm the Ring of Honor world champion. Ring of Honor was built on professional wrestling, on exceptional professional wrestling, and I've proved to be the best at Ring of Honor has to offer. So he holds up his belt. Alexander holds up his belt, and basically, he says like, there's all this talk about Forbidden Door, leaving the Forbidden Door open. People walking in and out. You don't have to worry about a Forbidden Door because I'm already here. And I walked in a while ago, and it's time for me to prove that I'm the best wrestler in Impact. And basically, they it does say that they end up fighting and have to be separated. They don't. This is basically a stare down. Two champions, two world champions, going toe to toe, cementing themselves as the best, raising their respective titles high in the air, basically laying down the challenge that, someday may not be official yet, but someday the Impact World Champion Josh Alexander and the Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham will have to face off and settle this challenge for who is the best wrestler in Impact and to determine who will be the figurehead of sorts of Impact, the one to carry Impact into the future. Segment rating of 34. Got a new storyline. Basically, Josh being world champion, taking on all comers, and Jonathan Gresham just stepped up as the first one. So, finish the show. Segment rating of or overall rating of 35. Um, Again, not enough interesting storylines going on. I think our Good Brothers one is the only one considered hot. Hopefully some of these others will pick up soon. I think the X Division one is about ready to be over. I do have plans for that. So we shall see that. But yeah, fallout from sacrifice and leading up to rebellion is on its way. We have basically champion versus champion set up, if not, not necessarily officially announced, but we have Alexander versus Gresham. Gresham stepping up as uh the first contender uh to Josh Alexander's real reign. We have a tournament to set up the next contenders to the tag titles. We have Steve Macklin pretending to be Shark Boy and basically stealing the X Division championship. And since that's a mess, we shall see what goes on from there. We have the Diana Prazzo, her stranglehold on the titles. We shall see what Taya Valkyrie has to say, and possibly Rosemary and with Gail Kim's involvement. So yeah, a lot of things leading up to uh Rebellion. So yeah, like I said, I have Rebellion mostly planned, but not so much how to get there. And we have plenty of time to get there because that's one of those, I think it's like the third week of April. So yeah, we have over a month to get there. So yeah, uh, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't know how often these videos are going to be coming out. So stay tuned. It might be a little while, but we will get there. Like I said, I kind of want to at least get to Slammiversary. Um, so yeah. Um, if you want to stay on this ride, you're welcome to. And I will see you next time.